Up? It is. I feel like this angle is not good. What's up? What's up? It is your girl, Pastor Courage Molina, of the Courage Community Church. Let me go to where the comments are so I can see if anybody's commenting. It is your girl, Courage Molina, Pastor Courage Molina of the Courage Community Church, an online global church. Um, we exist so that women of purpose will be in every household will be trained and equipped in the word of God. What's up, Laverta? And y'all know what it is. Today is Freedom Friday. So excited. First of all, it's about to be a holiday weekend. My daughter turns 20 on Monday, 4th of July. And so that's exciting. I don't really think we're doing anything, but it's still exciting. And I know it didn't mean freedom for us on the 4th of July, but it meant freedom for somebody. So that's exciting. Um, Freedom Friday is just an opportunity for me to share with you some lesson that the Lord has helped me to get during this week, either as a pastor or as a entrepreneur. And so here we go. Right. Um, Today I want to talk to you for a minute, just a minute, about good morning, Maritza. Today I want to talk to you just a minute about getting back to the basics. My son, when he was in 5th grade, he had locks, and maybe you don't know this, but my son is biracial. It's very weird to say that, but it's true. He's biracial, and so his locks were like soft and really fuzzy or whatever. And he had them for maybe like a year or so. And then one day he was like, he didn't want them anymore. He just wanted to get a haircut. He just wanted to get a haircut. And I'm like, okay, Mike, fine, whatever. So I'm driving him. I'm like, are you sure you want to get this haircut? We're getting ready to go to the barbershop. We're getting ready to go to the barbershop. And I was like, I'm just surprised that you're going to cut your hair. And he was like, you know what, Mom? Sometimes you just got to get back to the basics. And I was like, what is this 9-year-old boy talking about? You got to get back to the basics. But we say that, oh my gosh, I got a lash in my eyes. My eyes red because I was scratching them. I did some praying and some crying this morning. Oh my goodness. Let me check it on my phone. I did some praying and some crying this morning. It's a good cry. Yeah, there's nothing in there. Feels like it though. Feels like there's something in my eye. I don't need my eyes to be red today. I got a photo shoot today. I don't know what's up, but it really feels like something is sticking in my eye. Sorry, y'all. I can't focus if my eye is being poked out and I don't have my eye drops down here. Yeah, something is really in my eye. I think I might have to stop this Friday, this Freedom Friday, because I don't see it. I know this cannot be good for y'all to be seeing. I mean, Jesus. Um, I'm just trying to see if I'm gonna stay or if I'm gonna go. All right, you might be okay. Right, and I can't find it. Oh man. This is no good. Oh, I think I found it. I think I might have found it. Did I? No, I didn't find it. I want to tell y'all about getting back to the basics. So y'all know that I have been. Can I turn my camera off? Maybe stop camera. Yeah. So I can like focus on this eye. I know it's not great, but I don't want y'all staring at me while I'm doing this. But I can talk and do this at the same time, at least until I get it out. Okay, let's do that. Um, So y'all know I've been an entrepreneur for a minute. And so before I even became an entrepreneur, how I really started out was I was just going live every day, right? That was really it. I wasn't doing anything spectacular. I wasn't doing anything like I didn't really have a plan. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have any of that. I mean, I did, but it wasn't for what I was doing the lives for, right? I was just doing those lives every day, doing those lives all the time. Every single day, I would study my Bible, I'd read my Bible, and I would be like, I would get ready to go to work, and I'd be like, "What's good? It's your girl, Courage Molina, coming to you live with a DOC dose of courage." And then I would share whatever it was that the Lord gave me during my time in the Bible. It's just like I had to get it out. And so I was doing that every day. And then if there was ever a time where I was reading a book or listening to a podcast, or I was somewhere and there was some type of conversation or something, and and I had something to share, or I had a thought about it, or I had an opinion about it, then I would just go live also at a random time. Well, I did that for years, and that's really how my following grew. Then I would start showing up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, posting. Started out with the blog, and I was promoting that blog all the time. Um, I was promoting each blog post like 7, 8, 15 times on Facebook. It was always being posted all the time. So even if you didn't like it or whatever, it was just always out there. Something was always posting. And that kind of grew. I got a little bit better with what type of content I needed to create. But then something happened. I partnered with another coach who was absolutely amazing, whose reach was and her platform was way better than mine. A lot of y'all probably know who she is. And so I started working with her, right? And so when the way, I'm skipping some steps, right? Let me go back real quick. So I was doing that. Then I built a business. I decided to be was going to be coach, a business coach, and I was teaching women how to do content. I would do VIP days. That was really the first thing I did. I did VIP days for $2,500, and you got 8 hours with me in the same space. I rented an office space. The person came to me, came to town. It was more if I had to go to where they were. And after we were done, after those 8 hours, you had your content planned out, not just like the ideas, but exactly what you were going to be saying for 90 days. And you had your stuff done for 90 days. So, like every single day for those 90 days, what that would look like. We got your big promise kind of done together. So, it wasn't like when you left, you didn't have work to do, like figuring out to do. When you left, you literally just needed to type it and schedule it. That was it, right? That's all you needed. And so that's kind of how I started. And I also worked with some ministries that were local to here, helping them to kind of set the tone, because they were startup ministries, helping them set the tone for their team and giving them some guidance, really just working with the executive directors. What else? Then I also had Mosaic Women Network is a network that Olivia and I started, because as we saw our brands growing, and our opportunities were going to networking events, what we were realizing is that women didn't really know what to do. Like, they wanted a community. They were the only ones they knew that was starting a business, and they wanted a community. So we started Mosaic Women Network, and we did workshops. We did website audits once a month. We raised money. We won. We were nominated for a Gospel Image Award here in Charlotte for outreach for that, because of the work that we did with a ministry that we worked with. We just did a lot of stuff. And so by the time I got ready to quit my job, I already had been speaking. I had created my own speaking engagements, partnered with the church, who allowed me to use their church so I could do speaking engagements. We had already done like small network gatherings. We were doing them once a month. We would sell out 25 women a piece. Like, that's all we would take is 25 women each month. And every month there was a different panel. I would have panels of speakers. We did it here at the house. True. We did it at the other house too, actually. We did it at the old house. And then in the summer of 2017, that was my last year teaching. By that time, I was speaking in places. I had emceed. I hadn't written a book yet. I did I have the podcast? I don't think I had the podcast just yet, but I was doing all of these local things. I had written in local magazines. I was writing for an online magazine called, what was that magazine called? I don't know. They changed the name of it recently. I don't know what the name of it was, but it was an online magazine. I could probably find it if I Google it or whatever. I was interviewed by local people here. I was going to networking events. We were just doing that. And then I joined this, I partnered with this movement of Alicia D. And so then we were traveling, we were in Vegas, we were on the road. I did Courageous Living meetups. I did Courageous Living meetups here in Charlotte. I did them in Raleigh, in Jersey, New York. Did we do one in DC? I don't know if we did. I don't think we did one in DC. I think we were supposed to do one in DC, but we didn't. We did one. We did one in New Smyrna. I went home and I did an event there. I also did a meetup, like I did a speaking engagement. So I just did, I was doing a lot of stuff, right? I just got out there and started doing things, and I was just consistent in doing it. And if there wasn't an opportunity for me, then I just led one myself. That was it. I just led one myself, and I got out there, was doing my thing. And so I finally decided to quit my job in 2017. So I left the classroom, like school ended on June 10th. I was in New Jersey on like June 13th for my first Great Girlfriend conference. I used to do meetups all the time, actually. I think I'm about to start doing meetups again, but I used to do meetups all the time because they're so easy to do. Like a meetup is mad easy. And because like back then I didn't really care about the numbers so much. It was just like, this is where I'm going to be. If you're in my community and you're here, I'd love to see you. Everybody got to pay for their own food, but this is where I'm going to be. You need to be here by this time, and then we'll all sit together and just kind of connect, right? I used to do that all the time. I haven't done that in a long time. So we're in Jersey, got this whole thing. This is where I met Patrice Washington for the first time. And when I got to Jersey, the whole point of the Great Girlfriends Conference for me was we were going to be promoting Mosaic Women Network. So we're prepping. Guess what, y'all? While we're prepping, we got the website is updated. We are ready to take in new members. That's what we're both going to be talking about separately. Like, I'm going to be on this side of the room. She's going to be on that side of the room. We're going to be talking about this. Like, this is what we're doing. Then I burst into tears. Why? Because I felt like the Lord was like, this ain't it. You really need to get serious about, writing your book and ministry. And I just boohoo cried because I was like, I did not quit my job so I can go into ministry. I quit my job so I wouldn't be broke, not so I could go in ministry and stay broke. And I don't want to have a church. Like this whole thing, right? This went back to 2017. Even though I love the Lord and I've been Bible studying and all that, teaching Bible study. I know this is a long story, but I'm going somewhere, I promise you. This is the point though, right? Is that after that first conference, I completely changed my mind about where I was really going to push my focus. Crazy thing is if you look at my social media from like 2015, it was always ministry. So dumb. It was always like ministry and business, always. Even though like when it came to making it official, I would only sit in that space for like 2 seconds. If you look, like I've been sharing my memories and stuff from Facebook, I'm like, boy, in 2013, I was talking about the Lord. Like, so dumb. Anyway, I went to the conference and, it was fine or whatever. That's where I met Patrice. And then after that, after meeting Patrice, that was in like June. I think in November, she started her podcast. Well, I was already listening to podcasts. I was already very active in the communities that I was listening to podcasts in. So I started listening to her podcast, and I was listening and I stayed active in the community. Some of the things that I learned from listening to the Great Girlfriends podcast, right? So you're listening to these podcasts, you'd be paying attention to what they're saying about, how to connect with people in business and how to leverage businesses and how to leverage your relationships so that you can take the business or the collaboration to the next area. To the next level. And I didn't know anything about that. I didn't go to business school. I didn't really have any entrepreneurs. That's just, I just didn't know. So then by listening to the podcast, I realized that there were some things I was doing wrong and I would just adjust them. So now I'm listening to Patrice's podcast also. And I am also active in her community, but I'm still showing up everywhere for my own people, still doing my own thing everywhere. Then she starts talking about how she's going to do this mastery and momentum, right? So mind you, I quit my job in 2017. I was coaching, full time. I did some consulting for other ministries. I created curriculum. Yeah, so that's what I was doing, right? And I had a coaching program in 2017. I had the Courageous Living, I think it was like the Courageous Living Mastermind, which is not the same as what it is right now. The Courageous Living Mastermind really taught about the principles of courageous living. It was way underpriced, but it was what I had, and so it's what I did or whatever. And I created other programs, but I used to create programs after every launch, right? And so I would launch a program, and then when that program was over, I would launch another program. So that's why I have so many. That's why I have so many programs on Teachable, because in the beginning, I did a podcast program, I did a coaching program for podcasting, I did one for speaking, I did one for entrepreneurship. I did a bunch of every time I launched, and it was like, okay, that was it. I did not like circle back and do like a new launch with the same program. I created a new one. And so sometimes I collected new people, and sometimes it was just the same. Sometimes it was just the same person buying the next program, right? So um now I'm at 2018. No, I didn't really have white space on my planner back then. Absolutely not. I was booked and busy all the time. I did not have white space. I was working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not spending time with my family, not keeping my word to my family about what we were going to do and when we were going to do it. Yeah, definitely not. Right. And so then so I'm listening to Patrice's podcast, and I'm just kind of doing my thing still. And then I hear her talk about a mastermind. And I thought like, oh, that sounds interesting. And so I was like, hey, I'd love to hear more about the mastermind. By this time, she'd already been on my podcast. I'd already interviewed her. After I met her at the conference, I sent her an email and was like, hey, I'd love to have you. I probably sent a DM. I'd love to have you on the podcast. She was like, yep. And so we'd already been on the podcast. And one of the things I loved about interviewing people on the podcast is that when you can meet people, right? But people don't always meet you. So like I've met Pastor Stephen, but I'm looking forward to the day that Pastor Stephen meets me. What does that mean? It means I met him. I remember meeting him. I remember where we were. I know way more about him than he knows about me. But when somebody meets you, then they know you. They remember you. They know what you do, right? Sometimes we meet each other. And so we both walk away remembering each other, right? But in a podcast, let me put y'all on this game, a podcast where you are interviewing people, that is a great way for them to get to know you. Most of the people that I interviewed on the podcast, even if they were like out of my league, so to speak, once I interviewed them, baby, they loved me. They loved me. I made friends as a result. And I got a namesake as a result. I interviewed this lady, and I'm calling her this lady, but she's my friend now. But she wasn't my friend. I didn't know her then. And she was like, oh my gosh, I love your name. If I have a baby, if I have another baby, I'm going to name her Courage. And then she did. She did. Later, she had a baby. The baby's name is Courage. That's my baby. And it was so kind of weird because when she was a baby, she literally looked like I did when I was a baby, but we're not related. So it was an opportunity for them to get to know me. So that's how I was using, the podcast. So I had already interviewed Patrice. And so now we're, kind of have this little bit of a relationship because of the interview. And then when I reached out to her about the mastermind, she was like, I actually wanted to talk to you about the mastermind. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, can we get on a call? We got on a call, and that's when she asked me to be a coach. Not to be a coach. That's not how she said it. She was like, I would like for you to co-coach with me, coach side by side with me in this mastery and momentum program. And I'm like, okay, this has got to be crazy because this lady could have asked anybody. But when I started thinking about it, right, what I realized is that even though, I was following her and I was a fan of her work and all of that, she was also paying attention to me. You understand what I'm saying? From the day of the conference, she was like, "Oh, follow me. I'll follow you back." I was like, "This lady lying. She ain't gonna follow me back." But you know what? She did. She actually did follow me back. Oh, I got it, y'all. There we go. Look at that. So exciting. Got that one out. She actually followed me back, right? And so not only did she follow me back, but she was just paying attention to my content. And I am the queen of content and I'm really consistent and I'm always trying to get my information out there. So boom. So that's why she wanted me because she's like, she had been watching me and whatever. And when she prayed about it, the Lord told her me. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know me. She was like, I know that's what I told the Lord, but he knows you. And so from there, I started working with her in the mastermind, Mastery and Momentum. We did 2 cycles. During those 2 cycles, pandemic hit. We did retreats together for those things. And then, somehow during that time, Purpose to Platform started. And when Purpose to Platform started at the very beginning, I was already coaching with her. And I was like, hey, I feel like I'm missing something. Like there is a secret ingredient that I'm missing and I don't know what it is, but there's something because my stuff is actually really, really good, but I can't seem to get over this hump. And she was like, okay, why don't you go through Purpose to Platform? It was brand new. It was a bonus for women who came through Mastery Momentum. It's completely different than it is now. It was a year long. 8 weeks of content, I think, but it was a year long. It had only been out for 3 weeks and she gave me access to it. And I finished in the 8 weeks time, right? So when I started, I was already 3 weeks behind, right? She put me in, I was 3 weeks behind, but you couldn't get through the material. You could only get through the material 1 week at a time up into whatever week they were at. So I started at week 4, and by week 8, I was done, right? And it's because I already had a business. I just needed to tweak some things. So I continued to work with her in Purpose to Platform. I know this is a long story. I'm sorry, I'm going somewhere. I continued to work with her in Purpose to Platform. And I did that several cycles until this last cycle. This last cycle is the first cycle that I did not do Purpose to Platform with her. This is what I realized, right? Looking back now, this is what we're coming back around. This is what I realized working back, that because of my partnership, there were things that I did in the beginning that I stopped doing. And the reason I stopped doing them is because I didn't really need to do them anymore. I didn't need to do as much content. I didn't really need to promote myself or grow my brand. And as a result of not trying to grow my brand, as a result of not being intentional about growing my brand did not grow that much during the time that I worked with her. And that is because I stopped doing what I was doing before I started working with her. Which was doing the dose of courage whenever I felt like doing the dose of courage, whatever. I just didn't, one, I was busier, and 2, I didn't need to. And the reason I didn't need to is because, by working as a coach in P2P, I had access to 25 women, 50 women, then 100 and something women. And if I work with you for 12 weeks and then I have a program that I'm offering, any woman who feels connected to me is going to sign up. And so they did. I also offered the content planning session. I hadn't been doing it I used to do content planning parties like once every other month, and people could pay $150. The goal was that I would do it for 2 hours and get like 10 people in, right? So it'd be $1,500 for those 2 hours, and that was cool. And so I started doing the content planning parties for that community. And I would have to do like 2 or 3 sessions because I couldn't get them all in. So that was another way that I was making money. But here's the thing, I was making money, but I wasn't building my brand. Yikes. And so over these last, 12 weeks or whatever, I've just been like going back through. You guys know I've made a lot of adjustments to like what I'm going to offer and what I'm not offering, really where I'm putting my energy. You guys can see probably that I'm leaning more towards Pastor Courage Molina. Certainly not giving up Courage Molina University. We still have Courageous Faith membership, and so that's exciting. And we still have Courageous Discipleship, which is done through Courage Molina University, which is exciting. But you can probably see that I'm going more towards, faith, like seriously, intentionally, without hesitation and without apology. And so just looking at my numbers and things this week with how much my brand has grown over the since 2019. It's so sad. Looking at how much my brand has grown since 2019, let me just tell you something. Not that much. My income has increased. My prices increased. I make more money in my business. I make more money now than I did in 2019 and 2020. 2021 was my most successful year as an entrepreneur. And so the business, revenue has increased, but the brand itself has not increased even at the same rate as the revenue. And what I realized in this space is that that's kind of important to me. Some people, and this is fine, this is not like we're just different. Some people, they want to have $1 million idea or they want $1 billion idea. So they create these things and they would be happy selling that idea to somebody else, taking that $1 billion, it being a little known fact that they were the one who created it, and then just living their life. Well, that's not how I'm made. That's not my makeup. My makeup is one where I want to be out front, and people will sometimes make you feel like, oh, you shouldn't want to be out front. I do not care. The Lord made me. I want to be out front. I want for Courage Molina, Pastor Courage Molina, I want that to be synonymous with women's ministry, women's Bible study. Right? I don't want people talking about Bible study without talking about me. I want Dose of Courage Community Church. I want for us to be one of the fastest growing churches of its kind. I want us to be a trailblazer. I want us to be pioneers. I want us to do it so well that other churches come to our church to find out how we do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is my heart's desire. That is what I want to do. Because I understand that type of influence has major impact. When you can impact your entire industry, then that really allows you to, exponentially impact the people of that industry, right? And so that's what I want. I want massive impact, right? And so I've just been looking at my numbers or whatever. And so I'm thinking about like, dang, it's really dawning on me like my brand really hasn't grown. My brand really hasn't grown since 2019. I've been on a lot of podcasts. I was on the Grace podcast with Sybil Amuti. I was on Rachel Luna's podcast. I was on Patrice's podcast. I've been on a lot of podcasts. I was on TV. You know what I'm saying? I've done a lot of things, but the last few years, my brand hasn't grown. And so now I'm back to, okay, what is the best strategy? And you know what strategy God gave me this week? What if nobody knew you and you hadn't done anything yet, right? So let's pretend that today is my day one, right? Just go with me. Let's pretend like today is my day one. And today's the first day I've decided that I'm going to be an entrepreneur or I'm going to be in ministry. So what does that look like? Well, honestly, if I was starting fresh today, I would probably do the things that I did before. That is where I would start. I would I have more confidence and more courage than I did then. I have more resources than I did then. I have both human and financial and content, right? I have more of that than I did then. So it's not like I'm really starting over, but what if my strategy was based on me like nobody knowing me? Right? Like, okay, what if did nobody know me and I had to basically double where I am. So I have 600 subscribers on YouTube, around about, and I have 2,000 followers on Instagram. What Because this is what happens. Let me just tell you why the Lord did this for me. What happens is sometimes you grow out of a strategy, right? In your mind. Sometimes in your mind, you grow out of a strategy and you think, oh, I don't have to do that anymore, or I don't need to do that anymore because I'm making this kind of money, or I don't have to do that anymore. And that might be true, but you need to replace those efforts with something, right? Maybe you don't need to go live all the time, but if you're not going live all the time, what are you going to replace that with so that you are still getting out there and still putting out content and you're still being relevant and you're still talking about things? I did not shy away from controversial things. The fact that I haven't spoken on this Roe versus Wade is uncharacteristic. I would have talked about that. Anything that was trending on social media that was like news, I went live to give my 2 cents. Like, you ain't gotta like it, right? But something kind of, I don't know. I think like maybe once you hit a certain level of success, it's like you do kind of get to a place where you're like, well, I don't want to, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but I don't really care about ruffling feathers like at the depth of me. Really, I do have something to say about it. And those who rock with me can rock with me. And if I ain't for you, then I ain't for you. Right. But that's what I would do if I was just starting out. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm not going to speak on this because, somebody else is going to feel this type of way or something. No, this makes no sense. It's like this I had nothing to lose mentality back then. It was like I ain't had nobody following me anyway. So I wasn't worried about people stop following me. Like that wasn't a thing. And so I've decided to go back to the basics. I've decided to make things simple. Sometimes you grow and you've gotten to a place and you will lose that drive and that hunger that got you to where you are. And that's how you accidentally get stale. Your girl is almost stale out here in these streets. Now, for the people who are with me and y'all are at church on Saturday and all of that, it's like y'all know about me, y'all know what I'm doing, but I'm not. I'm not going live to be like, hey, this is your girl, Pastor Courage Molina, like I was doing before, right? I'm not doing that. And so I'm getting back to the basics. I want to give you the freedom. That's the freedom I want to give you today. I want to give you the freedom to get back to the basics, not just in your business, but I want to give you the freedom to go back to the basics when it comes to, diet and exercise. Like it doesn't have to be all that, whatever it needs to be for you to be consistent and for you to get growth. Maybe go back to that, especially if you are not succeeding or you're not seeing the growth that you want. So maybe you started a new workout plan and maybe you started a new regimen, but you really haven't been sticking to it. What would it look like if you just went back to the way you used to do it? What would it look like if you just started listen, you're smarter than you were then, right? You probably know more gadgets. You might even have more resources. There are probably more things available, but this is what I mean. So when I lost weight before, do you know how I lost weight before? Because I've lost weight 100 times. Do you know how I lost weight before? Weight Watchers, walking and dancing. I was a lot younger, so I'll give my metabolism some slack, but I did Weight Watchers, walking, and dancing. Zumba. That was it. I did Zumba, 3 nights a week, and I walked 3 miles. I didn't even walk like 50 miles a day. I walked 3 miles a day unless I was training for like the Avon walk for breast cancer. Then I really did way more walking. I went from like 220 pounds to like 180 pounds as an adult. And that's a small size for me as an adult at 180 pounds. My husband is looking at me like, okay, that's enough. Nah, you did enough. Okay. That's how he's looking at me at 180 pounds. But then you start doing all these other things, but you're not succeeding in those things and it's not really working that way. My bills, I used to do my bills every week, right? I would sit down, I had a calendar. Now I had to do that because I ain't really had no money. Now I got money and I ain't doing it. Guess what? I got money, I ain't doing it. And I just opened I just opened up a credit card bill. I just opened up a credit card bill. And first of all, it's past due. Let's start right there. It's past due. I think the balance is like $70. You know why the balance is $70? Because I thought I paid it off, but I guess I didn't. I guess I wasn't paying attention. And so when the last bill came, I didn't even really open it. I don't know why I didn't. I just didn't pay attention to it. It had $35 on there, $32 or something like that. I never paid it. So now this is the new bill. What I got on there, a $35 late fee. That is dumb. It is dumb to have a $35 late fee when you have the money to pay the bill on time. So I'm going back to the basics. I used to open my bills and just put them in my little bill calendar. And then on Monday, I would just sit down and pay my bills on Monday morning. Like boom, it was Money Mondays. I would write down in my little calendar what I paid, the date, the confirmation. Child, I ain't did that since 2020. Okay, it's 2022. I ain't did that since 2020. And so it's like, man, I need to get back to the basics in so many things. So what does getting back to the basics look like for you? What does it look like in as it relates to hanging out with your friends? Maybe it's just like, hey, we just going to brunch, we're just going to lunch, we're just going to dinner. Hey, come to the house. I'm gonna rent a movie. Right. And we're gonna stream a movie and have pizza. Like just because you haven't been hanging out, because y'all ain't been doing nothing, you haven't been doing anything fun, right? It's like, oh, we gotta wait until something is so cute and Instagrammable. Like, what would it look like if we just went back to the basics? And the truth of going back to the basics at this level really means that you'll be able to do it with more ease than you did it before, right? With better knowledge than you did before. And so I'm going back to the basics. When I first started studying the Bible, when I first started reading the Bible, I started in Genesis. I didn't know any better. I didn't know where to start. I just was like, you know what? I'll just start in Genesis. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Just going to start in Genesis. And so today's July 1st. I want to invite you to join the 90-day Bible reading challenge. If you're on the email list, then you probably already have gotten it for today because I'm starting today. And you will get an email once a week that has two options. Option number one is reading the entire Bible in 90 days. Option number two is committing to reading the Bible every day for 90 days. So at the end of the 90 days, you will either have read through the entire Bible or you will have read the Bible every day for 90 days, right? Either way, whether you want to read through it in 90 days or whether you just want to read it for 90 days, you can sign up and there are both options are listed in there and it's listed for the week. So you'll get one email every week. So I'm starting there. That's one of the places, like getting back to the basics. I'm going back. Now, let me just say this, and it says this in the email too. This does not replace your Bible study. It doesn't replace your Bible study, right? This is in addition to your Bible study. And, you know, if you don't want to do it, that's your business. But I'm probably going to, if you want to know my strategy, I'm probably going to read first. I'm going to read, and I'm reading the Message version. I've never read the Message version all the way through. I literally just got one this year, maybe the end of last year, and I've started reading, or listening also counts. So if you're listening to it, especially on Audible, I'm going to start the 90-day Bible reading challenge today. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read or listen to the entire thing, right? I'm going to do that. I'm going to read or listen to the entire 90-day, whatever that is. And then I'll check my timer because I still do 224. And then I'll start my Bible study, right? whatever. And so if I have an hour left, then I'll study my Bible for an hour. If I have 90 minutes left, then I'll study my Bible for 90 minutes, whatever I have left. For some of you, this is going to be your entire time. And so if that's the case and you're not willing or you're unable to increase the time that you spend in the word, then I would encourage you to do the 90 days of reading. And so those are way shorter. They're probably like 15 minutes. You can read those and then get right into your Bible study. Now, I want to tell you this. If you're going to read the Bible in 90 days, it's Bible reading. It ain't Bible studying. It is very difficult for you to get through it. It's very difficult for you to get through it if you're going to be stopping and studying, because it's like today is Genesis chapter 1 through 16. These ain't no New Testament. These ain't no New Testament chapters neither. Genesis chapters 1 through 16. I get that that's kind of a lot. I get it, but it's the only way you're going to read the Bible in 90 days. And if you do that, first of all, if you read the Bible in 90 days, you will do what most have never done in a lifetime. I'll say that again. If you just get to this basic Bible reading plan, you will do what most have not done in a lifetime, which is reading the entire Bible through. If you commit to reading the scriptures every single day, not just like a verse for 90 days, you will also do what most have not done. And that is build a consistent Bible reading where you have read the Bible for 90 days. Most people don't have a 90-day streak in their lifetime. Right? Most don't have that type of commitment, a 90-day commitment in their lifetime, not even in their lifetime as Christians. Right? And so if you get behind, don't try and catch up. Y'all know I don't believe in the catch up. Don't try and catch up. Just pick up on that day or just pick up on that week and let that be that. It's absolutely free if you're already on the email list and you've already gotten it. If you're not on the email list, then you can sign up there. If you want to encourage or invite somebody, which is what I recommend, right? I recommend you inviting somebody to read the Bible with you for the next 90 days. Friend, cousin, aunt, mom, a girl at work that you know read the Bible, a friend that you know is a Christian, even though maybe she's not going to church at this time, but invite her to read the Bible. People who are Christian, who are struggling to come back to church for whatever reason, they may be like anti going to church because they anti-church people, and that's one thing, but it's low-key a little bit difficult for them to be like, I ain't got to read my Bible, right? Like, for the most part, you can get them to do that. Give them the link, and then they'll get the email for the Bible reading challenge every single day. Okay. So, just kind of keep that in mind. I think that's it. I'm going back to the basics. So every area of my life, like what I eat, all the things, I have the freedom to go back to the basics. I don't have to do them in this really complex, high level, high end way that I was doing it. I'm just going to go back to like super basic things. Listen, I'm not telling you, let me just be clear before I log out. I'm not telling you to stop doing things that are working to go back to the basics. That's not what I'm saying. There are things that I do now that I didn't do before, and those things are working, right? Those things are working. So I'm not going to go back to the basics with that. Those things are working. But I'm talking about in the areas where you realize that you've gotten stagnant, or you're not seeing progress, or you're not seeing growth, or you're not seeing your consistency. That's another thing too. If you're not seeing your consistency, or you're not seeing the discipline that you once saw at some time, then I would encourage you to go back to the basics in those areas, right? Maybe you've been trying to get out of debt and you've been trying this whole new system and it's just not working, or it hasn't been working, or you don't know what's going on. I want you to go back to the basics. What is the basic, easy way that you could do it? Maybe you've been trying to lose weight or trying to do whatever, and you just have not been disciplined in the program or in the method. What would it look like if you just went back to the basics? So one of the basic things that, that might mean going to a Sunday church. It might mean starting the Bible reading again. It might mean, invite, like we actually used to do stuff like on Thursday nights, we would have watch parties for Scandal or Grey's Anatomy, right? Like we would have a Thursday night watch, or we would do something like, okay, after church on Sunday, we're going to go here. We were going to church on Saturday night. And so we would go to church on Saturday night. And then after church on Saturday night, we would go to Chick-fil-A, like just getting back to the basics. And so that was a time for me to see my people on a regular basis, right? And so just considering some areas where it's like, man, it feels kind of stale here, or it feels kind of weird here, whatever. Like, I don't really know, but maybe I need to get back to the basics. I want you to know you got the freedom to get back to the basics in the areas where you've kind of fallen off. All right. I love y'all. I hope to see y'all tomorrow at church. We live stream at 8 a.m. EST on YouTube, and immediately following the sermon, we gathered together in conversation. You know, again, Dose of Courage Community Church is an online global church for women. DC Cubed, which is how I refer to us, DC Cubed, right? Because the C is Courage Community Church, right? So DC Cubed exists so that every woman of purpose in every household would be trained and equipped as a minister of God's word, regardless of their station, occupation, profession. Okay. All right. I love y'all, and I hope to see y'all in church tomorrow. Later.